Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are the Embry Riddle Aeronautical University Solar Scholars, and we're presenting our submission for the Solar District Cup 2023. My name is Marcella, and I'm the project manager. Presenting, we have Ian, Kenneth, and Sebastian. Spencer and Armand, our final team members, and Ms. Perskin and Dr. Rodriguez, our advisors, are joining us in the audience. Why should you choose the Solar Scholars? Because we implement solar scholar solutions. Within each aspect, we promote energy independence and environmental stewardship, uplifting tomorrow's leaders, and reducing electrical bills with customized and resilient technology. We were given Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, or FAMU, as our district for this competition. FAMU is recognized as the #1 public historically Black university in the US with a student population of 9,000 in spring of 2023. Located in Tallahassee, Florida, FAMU has a global horizontal irradiance of 4.721 kilowatt hours per meter squared per day, or 1,723 kilowatt hours per meter squared per year. Global horizontal irradiance, or GHI, is a measure of how much energy from the sun is usable. Being in the sunshine state makes FAMU a great option for solar power implementation. FAMU also has a goal of reaching climate neutrality by 2050 and aims to promote clean energy on campus. This image displays the locations and Aurora solar designs for all systems. The average irradiance is 1,831 kilowatt hours per meter squared per year.
A site analysis was conducted to examine the constraint and rules governing the site. Identification of the zoning ordinances was the first step in this process. The site is zoned in the University Transition District, except for a small sliver on the northeast side of campus, which is zoned in the Central Urban District. Solar and its infrastructure are allowed in these zones if they provide their power to the university. Next, the authority who has jurisdiction of the site was identified. Since Florida A&M is a public state university, the authority with jurisdiction is the state of Florida. This creates an interesting scenario where the university does not need to go through the normal local permitting process. Instead, they must use their own personnel or outside contractors to review plans and conduct inspections. These facts are stated in the Florida Statutes, Chapter 553.80. Now, being in the state of Florida, all construction is subject to the Florida Building Code. For PV systems, Florida Building Code requires 36-inch edge setbacks, 36-inch walkways for large panel clusters, and a 120 mile-per-hour wind rating. All our PV systems were designed to comply with the rules. Our allied health building design is an example of this. The edge setback is shown in orange, and the walkways are shown in purple. Compliance with the university's master plan also had to be confirmed. 3 main areas of campus are set aside for major redevelopment, as shown in the figure. All these areas were avoided to ensure no conflicts and that our system will be around for its 30-year life. A flood zone was identified at the very northern edge of the site. 2 carport systems and 1 floating system are located within this zone. This doesn't pose much of an issue for the floating system, as these systems are designed with water ingress protection. But for the carport system, sensitive components must be raised off ground level and or put into weather-resistant enclosures. And excuse me. So for historical sites, Florida A&M Historical District protects many buildings and sites on campus. In total, 23 locations are protected. This protection makes sure no visible alterations occur to these buildings or sites. Solar can be put on historic buildings if the equipment is not visible from ground level, but even doing this can be controversial. So to ensure compliance and community acceptance, these areas were avoided. Now, let's break down equipment selection and design approach with Kenneth.
The selected panel is the SunPower X Series 470 watt. This panel had the highest efficiency, lowest degradation rate, and optimal voltage compared to all the panels considered. The selected inverter is the SOFAR HYD. We chose a hybrid inverter over a string inverter paired with a battery charge controller to simplify the interconnection process. A hybrid inverter has the ability to charge and discharge batteries, which means less components are needed. The SOFAR HYD is also a UL 1741 approved inverter and has anti-islanding capabilities in the event of a power outage. The selected battery is the Fortress Power eVault lithium battery. Lithium batteries were decided over lead acid batteries due to their high cycle life and depth of discharge. The Fortress battery has a life of 6,000 cycles and depth of discharge of 80%. Safety was an important factor in our equipment selection due to the buildings being highly populated. The selected battery is a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is the safest type of lithium battery. Data analysis began with sifting through the provided information. The utility rates file revealed that the $14.29 per kilowatt demand charge was a large proponent of FAMU's utility bill. The 15-minute energy profile data was exported into a MATLAB code that made a graph for each building with the max daily peak of each month and their average. It was clear that to make the most financial impact, the system should be designed to peak shave the highest energy demands of each building. The provided 13 buildings were separated into 3 categories. The first category was labeled the ride-through buildings. Per the competition requirements, these buildings needed to have 25% of their max peak load and storage at all times to be resilient through a 2-hour power outage. The system also had panels and batteries to peak shave their highest daily max peak. The second group of buildings were labeled regular load buildings since their average energy demand curve accurately depicted the monthly max graphs. The last group of buildings were labeled varying load buildings since their average energy demand curve did not accurately depict the monthly max graphs. Each building has one system split into 2 components, except for the ride-through buildings that have a third component for the 2-hour power outage. The daytime component is a solar array paired with inverters to provide power to the building during peak sun hours of 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The nighttime component is a solar array paired with inverters to charge the battery bank during the peak sun hours and discharge them at night when the high power surges occur. A challenge we faced was these power surges occur in relatively short periods of time, and the number of nighttime inverters cannot discharge the stored energy at a fast enough rate. Instead of implementing more inverters into the nighttime system, the daytime system inverters will also be connected to the battery bank to discharge only. This will ensure the stored energy is discharged in the short periods of time high power surges occur. Sizing the amount of equipment for each building began with determining the amount of daytime and nighttime energy required using a MATLAB code. A baseline was set for how much energy would be provided by the grid for each building, and everything over that amount was provided by solar power. The energy was converted to AC power by dividing the daytime and nighttime energy by 5 peak sun hours, since that is the amount of time the energy could be produced. To convert AC power to DC power, the AC power was multiplied by a DC to AC ratio of 1.2, which falls in the range recommended by the Energy Information Administration. The required amount of DC power was used to find the number of solar panels, inverters, batteries, and combiner boxes needed for each building. In some PV systems, the number of panels were slightly altered to ensure all strings were the same length. Varying string lengths inputting into one inverter can cause voltage abnormalities in the system. We'll now go to Marcella for our proposed systems.
The first of the systems in our proposed design supplies power to the Science Research Facility. This system contains 240 panels, which generate 112.8 kilowatts and charge 21 batteries. The small carport directly north of the building provides the supplemental power needed. Our proposed design features 3 types of mounting for the photovoltaic panels: rooftop, carport, and photovoltaic. Photovoltaics is the application of photovoltaics to the surfaces of bodies of water. The advantages of photovoltaics are numerous, including an increased efficiency of approximately 5% due to their proximity to water, which regulates the temperature. With the addition of this system, we were able to take advantage of the surface space of Pond 17, located at the northern edge of the district grid. The College of Pharmacy benefits from the implementation of photovoltaics due to its proximity to Pond 17. This system is the largest, with 1,236 panels, which generate 580.92 kilowatts, split between a rooftop system, photovoltaic system, and 2 carport systems. The total number of batteries is 87. The rooftop of Allied Health was spacious enough to support all 192 panels needed to produce 90.24 kilowatts and charge 27 batteries. Producing 67.88 kilowatts from 144 panels and 11 batteries located on its rooftop and in a carport system in a neighboring parking lot, The central chilled water plant achieves 25% ride-through protection. The system for the central boiler plant, with poor rooftop availability and irradiance, was placed instead on the bottom left portion of the nearby parking garage. It shares the rooftop with two other systems. 144 panels generate 67.88 kilowatts and charge 11 batteries. As the first of the non-ride-through buildings we evaluated, the Student Services Center did not have to meet the resiliency challenge. We applied 512 panels, which produced 240.6 kilowatts and a total of 35 batteries to the rooftop of the building and the parking garage. Where Rainey has a system size of 156.04 kilowatts and made up of 332 panels split between the rooftop and nearby carport system. The addition of 30 batteries produces the desired peak shaving effect. The CAS building is the third and final building to take advantage of the space on the roof of the parking garage. 528 panels are divided between the parking garage and CAS building rooftop, producing 248.16 kilowatts and charging 42 batteries. The system for FAMU Village, while it could have been partially supported by the available space on the building's rooftop, is located in the parking lot facing the football stadium to provide a strong visual presence of photovoltaic implementation on campus. The 650 panels, which generate 305.5 kilowatts and charge 21 batteries, are all arranged in a carport system. Perry and Page, while their energy load consumption data was provided separately, have perfectly matching loads, share a meter and transformer, and have no clear distinction between rooftops. We combined their systems into one, which features 316 panels, producing 148.52 kilowatts and charging 27 batteries. Perry and Page are supported by a rooftop system and two carport systems in the parking lot directly north of the building. Now Ian will discuss distribution impact.
In our design, only two buildings pose a threat to the stability of the grid. The loads of the College of Pharmacy and FAMU Village were large and inconsistent. We determined the grid can easily handle the loads with a PV capacity of 4,200 kilowatts for each yellow interconnection point on the heat map provided for the district. The largest system for the College of Pharmacy totals only 580 kilowatts. The smart inverter chosen monitors the building's varying loads and can take actions to prevent abnormalities in the grid. When wiring each system to the meter of its building, the most plausible and direct path was selected using directional boring underground. A 2% voltage drop recommended by the Energy Information Administration was used alongside the distance between the meter of each building and the furthest inverter for determining the wire gauge required. The photovoltaic system that supports the College of Pharmacy is the system with the largest distance at 1,050 feet from its meter. The system uses 4/0 American wire gauge, which means the system could not have made a system further from the meter without the extra expense of custom wires. Now let's go to Sebastian for financial analysis.
Aside from battery costs and equipment quantities, our inputs were obtained from enrolled benchmarks, and they were placed in Energy Toolbase and the Solar District Cup Excel model. For operations and maintenance, we referenced a specific benchmark price for each type of system present in our project. For the outputs, the result of our project design is a sale price of $10.2 million with storage and $3.4 million without storage. Project's net present value is $4.5 million with an internal rate of return 7.5%. We ended up with a system that has a payback period of 14 years obtained with an Excel function that calculates the difference between the initial sale price and the yearly savings produced by our project. While completing financial analysis, we overcame challenges, which include the lack of a market for solar renewable energy credits in Florida and the inability to benefit from the 30% solar power tax savings offered by the federal government due to FAMU being a non-taxpayer. The construction timeline features 5 phases and lasts approximately 6 months. Our proposed system design features several elements that we hope will boost community engagement on campus. Directly north of the football stadium in the parking lot for FAMU Village, we have applied solar skin technology to display the letters FAMU across a 650 panel arrangement. Electric vehicle charging stations can be located at any of the 9 carport systems within the district. Students can study in the shade of the solar panels in the Solar Scholar spots, shaded benches with laptop charging capabilities. Now we will conclude the presentation with Marcella.
The proposed design for the Florida A&M University District has a total size of just over 2 megawatts with 4,294 panels 96 inverters, 312 batteries, and numerous additional components. With a monthly lease price of $36,000, this design not only provides power for the 5 designated buildings, which require outage ride-through protection, but reduces the demand charge via peak shaving district-wide, promoting a more climate-conscious and engaging atmosphere. Thank you for your time. We will take questions now.